Yo, 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 what's going on, guys? Joey Shirkenbuck is back here with another video for you guys. Guys, we're here to talk about the game that happened last night between the Ravens and the Raiders. It just got way too late for me to make my recap last night. I wasn't expecting to be able to do it. Fortunately, I found some time today to make it. I was worried I was going to have to wait until the end of the week. I was able to squeeze it in now. Tough one, man. Really, really tough one. The thought going through my head when the game started getting all crazy was, it's week one. It is week one, right? It's the first game of the season, and this trauma is already underway. So, tough loss. I mean, a heartbreaking loss. Could not have lost in a worse fashion. I mean, wide open. I mean, come on. How does that happen? So we're gonna kind of break this up. First off, there were some good things that happened for sure, and I don't want to just focus on the bad things. But before we get into the good and bad things, big shout out and congrats to all the Raiders fans. That was their first game, their first home game with the fans, so congrats to them. They put up a great game. That was a great comeback they had. They got the better of us, so congrats to them. It's not like they didn't deserve to win. They did deserve it. We did not deserve it. So congrats to them, and good luck this weekend against Pittsburgh. So, the thing is, and I've mentioned this on Twitter. You guys know I'm a Red Sox fan, and a problem with them. And I'm not going to talk about them here, but the only thing I want to mention was they have a huge problem where either the offense is strong and the defense is not, or the offense is silent and the defense is strong. I was really noticing that with the Ravens last night. The only time where I thought our offense and I think my dog, Cash wants to say hi. Yeah, he says hi. He's a little tired tonight. But anyways, that was what I noticed last night. I think the only time where our offense and defense was really clicking was early on. I mean, we were up 14-0 at one point. So the offense and defense was both doing well, or were both doing well. But then the defense started to get a little tired, and then the offense did not really pick them up. So if anything, kind of both started to not play as well. So, and then you wonder, okay, who do you blame more for this, the offense or the defense? So I will say, if so it was, 14, and then they got a touchdown. It was 14-10 going into the half. We got a field goal to make it 17-10. And then the defense let up a touchdown. So I was like, our defense, they have been playing lockdown for a while. They're going to give up a touchdown at some point. So that made it 17-17. And then the Ravens scored, I think, right, to make it 24-17. But then that is where the defense needs to step up. I understand. The offense, though, to be fair, when it was, 17-10, it was 17-10 for a fair amount of time before more scoring happened. The defense was playing well, but the offense could not pick them up. So that's why I'm trying to defend the defense. There was too long of a stretch where our defense was playing well. This was in most of the third quarter. The defense was playing well, and the offense was doing nothing. We were doing absolutely nothing. It was 17-10 for way too long. We could not put up any points besides that field goal early in the second half. We couldn't do anything. And that's why I'm trying, the defense, they get tired. They need the offense to back them up. But at the same time, our defense absolutely choked in the end. There is no excuse for that. How in the world, you're up by a field goal, the Raiders have no timeouts left, and what was it, 35, 36 seconds, whatever it may have been. Again, no timeouts. We're up by a field goal. They go down and get into field goal range and tie it. That is completely inexcusable, totally on the defense. I don't care how tired they are. That is on the defense. So if it had been, as I said, I was trying to excuse the defense for giving up the touchdown, and then because, the offense had not been playing well. But then when we scored to make it 24-17, the defense needed to, make a stop. And that's what I'm saying. The offense and defense was not clicking at the right time. Our offense had been silent. Our defense was playing well. Our offense, great drive. That long drive, which ended on a Latavius Murray touchdown run, that was a great drive. Great mix. That had the beautiful throw from Jackson to Watkins. That was great. So we got the touchdown. We didn't settle for a field goal. We got a touchdown. But then the defense needs to back us up. It doesn't do it. The Raiders go right down the field and score. So that's my point, where the offensive defense was not clicking at the same times, and that's what came back to bite us. You know, if all we needed was them to get one stop, and when the defense was playing well, the offense needed to score points, and they didn't get it done. So many blown opportunities, and that's why we did not deserve to win this game. We did not. The refs, absolutely fine, which is kind of ironic because if you guys didn't realize, Sean Smith was the ref, at least the head ref of this game, and you guys know I am not a fan of him. I think he totally hates the Ravens and favors the opposing team. But last night, he did not do that. There were no egregious calls. I mean, there were a couple calls called on both teams that I didn't think were great, but nothing like changed the whole theme of the game or anything. So there's no excuses for this loss. I mean, yes, injuries, but every team has injuries after all. But yeah, like that can't happen. You need the offense and the defense to click, and that even I kind of noticed that last year. A lot of times when we went up by at least 2 possessions, our defense had a habit of folding, which was pretty annoying. And yesterday it folded even when we were just up by 1 possession. I mean, it's just, I don't know, man. It's a problem. But okay, it's the first game of the season, and I cannot get over how immature some of our fans are. Some were literally saying we should tank the season after 1 loss. Not only was it the first loss, not only was it to a very, very beatable team, it's the first game of the season. Okay, and now I will say it did not feel like the first game of the season at all. With how dramatic it got, especially in the second half, you would have to think, oh, this is a playoff game. This is a late season game. No, it was week 1. Imagine that. I cannot believe that was only week 1. That was the first game of the season. The drama, as I said, kicking off right away. So now now we've talked about the game. Let's talk about the specifics. So offensive line. I mentioned a few weeks ago when Dobbins got hurt, I talked about how, hey, our offensive line, they played 1 drive. All the starters played that 1 drive against the football team, and they really did not look good. Last night, that was one of the worst performances that I will remember for a long time. What happened? Now, at the same time, run blocking was fine. I'm not going to say it was as bad as the Bills, because against the Bills, not only was our pass blocking atrocious, our run blocking was trash too. We did not get a ton of ground game going, but we got something going, and we didn't run the ball enough. I like to see us throwing it, but we should have fed Tyson Williams more, no doubt. Anyways, run blocking was, for the most part, okay. But pass blocking, oh my god, what was that? Now, here's the thing. I think most of us know that was one of Alejandro Villanueva's worst games of his career. He was so bad. Not only did he have a rough game, not only did he just struggle a little bit, he was awful. Literally, Max Crosby, I'm going to say he went up against Villanueva, 25, 30 times, maybe even more? I would say he beat Villanueva on at least 80%. 80 of those. Do you realize how pathetic that is? Oh my god, Villanueva was getting harassed. Crosby was just abusing him. Now, to be fair, the Raiders' defensive line is underrated, especially Max Crosby. He's not, he's not a bum. He's good. Quite good, actually. But you still got to put up more of a fight than that. I mean, Villanueva was getting destroyed over and over and over again. It was just ridiculous. So that's not good at all. Pass blocking was a serious, serious issue, and it needs to get resolved. Now, it's the first game of the season, which is why I'm trying my best to be patient, but last night looked especially bad for the offensive line. That was, awful. I mean, oh my god. Jackson was sacked at least 3 times, I think, but I guarantee you, if it wasn't Lamar Jackson with how elusive he was, he would have been sacked at least 6. Double that, maybe even triple that. He would have been sacked way more than 3 times if it wasn't Lamar Jackson. Inexcusable. Our pass blocking was awful. Okay, so offensive line, shame on you. Got to get better. Now, at the same time, before we move on from the offensive line, it wasn't just Villanueva, to be fair. Even one of the best tackles in football, Ryan Stanley, did not play well at all. And Ngakoue, go figure, the guy who we traded for, busts low big time, goes to another team. We play in week 1, and he just feasts. I don't think he ever got a sack, but he was getting pressure. He was beating Stanley consistently. So, to be fair, it was not just Villanueva, but Villanueva was by far the worst. I mean, you could count on him to get beat every snap. Stanley did get beat too much, for sure, but at the same time, he's coming back from a significant ankle injury. I'm trying to give him a pass. It was his first game. I mean, I guess he did play the one drive against the football team in preseason, but it was his first real game since coming back. I'm trying to cut him some slack. But man, the pass block, the only offensive lineman who played even remotely well was Kevin Zeitler. Now, he was good, especially in pass blocking. He did a nice job of holding his guys up. I don't think the Raiders' interior line is exactly good, but, whatever it is, I'm really happy with the way Zeitler played, and hopefully that can continue. But in general, offensive line, big time question mark. Still does not look remotely the same as it did in 2019. And we don't necessarily need it to be that good, but it needs to be better. I mean, last year it wasn't good enough. Last night it most certainly was not good enough. Okay, so now that I've spent a few minutes trashing the offensive line, now we'll get some positives in there. Passing attack, I was happy with what I saw. I thought Jackson's throws looked good. He missed a few, obviously, but I thought when he dropped back to pass, his spiral looked tighter. In the offseason, it was reported that he had been working on a spiral. It looked way better, much less wobbly passes last night. I was happy with the way the passing game turned out. Jackson had a solid completion percentage, and he threw for 230-something yards, I think, a touchdown. Did not throw a pick. He never really came close, I don't think. So, passing game, I was happy with. Watkins put up almost 100 yards. Brown put up like 70 yards, but he also got that touchdown catch. So, passing game, I'm happy about. I really liked the way we looked last night, and I really, really hope that is what kicks it off, because last year our passing game was such a disaster. We showed some hope last night. We really did. Yes, the Raiders secondary is kind of trash, but hey, whatever it is, I'm really hoping that we can, develop a good passing game, especially this year, because our running game is determined to at least take a small step back with all the injuries and inconsistent offensive line. So I'm really happy with the way the passing game turned out, and it should only get better when Bateman and I guess Boyd can come back. So keep that up. So great there. Tyson Williams, impressive debut for the guy. I still am a little confused on why. We fed him a lot in the first half, and in the second half, he really didn't get many carries at all. So I heard a rumor that he was hurt, and that's why they were keeping him out. But at the same time, he came back in overtime. We'll talk about that absolutely crazy ending towards the end of the video. Williams was pass blocking on that third down where Jackson fumbled in overtime when Nassib stripped him. He came back in there, and he absolutely choked. But regardless, he came back in. But I don't know what his injury was. They didn't specify anything, but it was kind of weird. We fed him a lot in the first half, and then he was barely on the field in the second half. Not exactly sure what was going on there. Harbaugh never said anything specifically. No significant injury for him, obviously, because he literally came back in the game, but that was weird. But again, I was happy with what I saw from Tyson Williams. He got that touchdown run. He had 60-something yards. Did very well in the first half. He didn't fumble. I liked what I saw from Tyson Williams. Latavius Murray, not as much. I thought he was too hesitant in the hole. He wasn't overly quick. I mean, he did get that nice touchdown run, but I was not huge on him, to be honest with you. Trenton Cannon didn't really get any carries, and he actually got released today, so he's not going to show up again. We could bring him back, I guess, but he's not going to be a running back who receives a big role in the offense, that's for sure. So he, on his few carries, looked okay, I guess, nothing big. Offense, I still think it had its good moments, but it still had its bad moments. After getting those 14 points, our offense went silent for way too long. After those 14 points, we got the field goal, I think, what was it, early in the second half, right? And for a whole quarter, our offense went silent. That can't happen. You're not going to score every drive. I get that, but we punted too much. We were not moving the ball for too long. And as I said, our offense went silent. Our defense was playing well, but then it got tired. So our offense stepped up, and then our defense. Where did our defense go? So again, it's the first game. I'm gonna keep saying that because I think people are forgetting that it's the first game of the season. And another thing, it's not like we got killed. That was an overtime. That was a great game. Super fun to watch. That was a great game. Definitely not end the way we wanted, but it was a great game nonetheless. It's not like the Raiders killed us at all. Yes, they came back, and we should not have let that happen, but still, it was a great game, and, it's always a learning process. We can always improve. We can always build off of what went wrong, and even improve what went well but could have gone better. So, offensive line, I've already trashed them. So I've talked about the passing game, and now let's talk about the defense. So, first half defense in general, when it comes to letting up points, looked great. I was really happy with what I saw from the defense. No big injuries, and actually, I shouldn't say first half. For 1.5 quarters, defense looked great. The Raiders didn't score till towards the end of the first half. Then the defense was good again in the third quarter roughly, but then the Raiders started to get it going. But yeah, in general, I was happy with what I saw from the defense, at least in some cases. But I have been saying this for so long, and I'm going to keep saying it until I see clear improvement. Our pass rush, man, it is just so bad. Yeah, we got Justin Houston. We drafted Odafe Owe. Justin Matabuke could be a stud. But, on paper, our pass rush might not be that bad. But when you watch the games, you watch the plays, our pass rush is horrendous. We're not getting anywhere near Carr. We didn't get anywhere near him on at least 80 to 90% of the plays. Now, mind you, we did sack him, was it twice? I know Houston and McPhee combined for a sack, and then Queen got a sack on a beautiful blitz up the middle. With how fast he is, that's so deadly. So, I think we sacked him twice. But besides that, our pass rush was awful. Once again, now, yes, Darren Waller, we did well on him to start. In the first quarter, I don't even think he had a catch yet. Actually, maybe one catch. But besides that, Waller was silent, and then he got it going, and he really turned it on in the second half. But many, and I mean many of Carr's completions, I'm not saying that he didn't play well. He did, especially later on. But a lot of Carr's completions came after several seconds surveying the field, waiting for guys to get open. Our pass rush did not get home, and it has to. And I don't want us to keep blitzing, especially with who we're playing this weekend. We got to get pressure with a 4-man front. And guys, it was just awful. Our pass rush was so bad. And it's not like we're playing that 2018 through 2020 Raiders offensive line. That was an inexperienced, bad offensive line without their best lineman, Richie Incognito. We only sacked Carr twice, and much of the time we got nowhere near him. Inexcusable. The pass rush has got to get better, because I'm telling you, we are not going anywhere in the playoffs without it. And that's the thing, maybe the defense gets tired. More importantly, the secondary gets tired. After, so many times running back and forth with the receivers, there's nowhere to go. But when you get no pressure on the quarterback, eventually the receivers are going to win out. And that's exactly what happened. So, guys, pass rush, I was very, very disappointed in. It's got to get better. Again, it's the first game. I get that. But the pass rush is definitely a concern. My two biggest concerns after last night, pass rush and offensive line. And pass blocking in specifically. So pass rush and pass blocking, definitely my two biggest concerns after that game. But again, we have great coaching. I'm sure we can improve it. But for the pass rush anyways, we might need to make a move. I'm getting pretty nervous, because this was the same issue last year. And the year before. So, after that, let's see. And then now I guess we'll talk about the ending. So, when was the last time an ending like that happened? That was the craziest ending ever. So, we go into overtime. It's 27-27. Carr, they're driving down the field. They're on R30 or 31. Carr flings it up for grabs down the field. I forget who it was who came out with it. He catches it and then is tackled down. They rule it a touchdown initially, and the Raiders and even myself, everyone was sold, oh yeah, that's a touchdown, Ravens choked, game over. But no, they reviewed it, and after review, it's clear that he was short. His knee was down, the ball did not break the plane. He was short. So that was the right call by the officials. But everyone was celebrating and going crazy, and then when they called the play back, they had to bring people. Some people were starting to leave. Everyone came back, and there was still more football to be played. Wouldn't you guess, the Raiders down at the 1-yard line. QB sneak with Carr, stopped. Great play up the middle by our guys, short. A false start by one of their offensive linemen. So that backs them up. Now it's second down and 5 or 6 to get to the end zone. Second and goal. And it's, second down was an incompletion. Carr flung it to the back of the end zone. Nothing was open. We actually got a little bit of a pass rush. Oh my gosh. So nothing there. And then third down after when they thought they had won the game, Carr throws a pick. How does that happen, man? That was the craziest thing. I cannot believe that happened. Unbelievable. I swear, if when Carr threw that pick, if we ended up going down the field and getting a field goal and winning that game, that would have just been the most Raiders-like thing to do. It would have been hilarious. It still was hilarious, but and okay, again, so our defense folds, gives up that big play, but it's short, and then our defense plays dominantly. The Raiders had the ball first and goal at the 1 yard line. We forced a turnover. Not only did we stop them on 3 downs, we forced a turnover. And what does our offense do? Nothing. In fact, less than nothing, I should say. They turn the ball over. That's the thing, guys. That's one of my bigger concerns. Offense and defense clicking at the same time, because that was nowhere to be found last night. The only time where it really happened was early on, and then after that, it was either defense or offense. So that was crazy. And I think we've talked mostly about the offense. So now let's talk about Lamar Jackson. So, throwing the football, I like the way he looked. Again, as I said, he looked comfortable. A lot of his throws were on point. His spiral improved, and his stat line was pretty good when it came to throwing the ball. So I would give him a pass, and I would say, oh yeah, his offensive line was trash. If his offensive line wasn't so bad at pass blocking, he would have gotten more. He would have gotten better stats, which is true. I think our passing game was good, but if our offensive line could block, I think it would have been a lot better. Jackson had just no time to throw. Crosby and Ngakoue were crashing the edges almost every play. Jackson just could only do so much. He had to step up pretty much every single time. Embarrassingly bad performance by our tackles and just our offensive line in general. So, anyways, that's cool. So Jackson in general, I thought did well with that in the throwing department. All thumbs up. But he fumbled twice. That is so unlike him, man. And the fumbles, I mean, that's not on anyone else but himself. You gotta protect the ball. So yeah, that's his fault. I will criticize him there. Jackson, you got to protect the ball. You can't take stupid hits. You need to protect the ball. 2 turnovers. Jackson, I think, had a first down run, and then he fumbled. That can't happen. You gotta hang on to the ball. And I think that was right after the Raiders score, at least got a field goal or something. So the defense was already tired, and then Jackson fumbled, so the defense had to go back out there. And it's just, you can't have that happen, man. You cannot. We needed the offensive score there, and I think we were up 4. Actually, maybe I think we were up 7 still, and then the Raiders scored after that. Yeah, it's not good, guys. It's not good. Jackson has got to protect the ball. And then that third down and overtime, after we forced the turnover, 3rd down and 7. Now, again, Tyson Williams totally whiffed on the block. I think it was Carl Nassib who hit him. Williams has got to put up more of a fight than that. He's got to at least pick up the blitz. He didn't do that well, and then he got to Jackson, and Jackson fumbled. But at the same time, Jackson has to have awareness of who's coming, and if he knows he's going to get sacked, he needs to protect the ball. So that's on him also. You can't fumble twice. That's inexcusable. And fortunately, Jackson recognizes that. He was all over himself about it, which is why I'm such a huge Lamar Jackson guy as a person, because he's critical of himself. He's not one of those annoying guys who just blames his teammates for everything. So, again, first game of the season, and mistakes are going to be made. And I'm sure we can get better from here on out. But those 2 fumbles, not good. Last thing I'm going to touch on, if you guys have stayed here for the whole video, I really do appreciate it. Shout out to you guys. You do not know how much I appreciate your support. So, right before I end this, the bigger disappointment, and something that I am starting to get a little concerned about, to be honest with you. Yes, it's the first game, but Mark Andrews, where is he in the biggest? He's a great tight end. I still think he's a top 5 tight end. I still think he is. But, I'm looking back in history. Where is Mark Andrews in the big games? I really don't know. So we drafted him in 2018. He didn't really start getting it going until the end of 2018. Then 2019, he was excellent. But then again, even in 2019, so we didn't have a lot of big games in 2019 because of how good we were. But even in the Tennessee game, Andrews did not play well at all. He did nothing in the divisional round loss. And then 2020, so the losses that we had, which were all nail biters, except for the Chiefs one. But even the Chiefs one, that was a big game. Andrews had maybe his worst game of his career. Against the Steelers at home, the loss. Andrews did nothing. Titans home loss. Andrews actually did do well that game, but then was silent on the last two drives where we really needed him. So I shouldn't be. I actually, now that I think about it, I think Andrews had like almost 100 yards in that game, so I can't be too hard on him. But big games. Where is Andrews? And then in the wild card against the Titans, even though we won that game, Andrews did pretty much nothing. And then the Bills, Andrews did literally nothing. I think he maybe got 1-2 catches, and he had a drop later in the game. Andrews, nowhere to be found in the big games for the most part, and that is a problem. And of course, that theme continued. Last night, a big game. Where is Andrews? Nowhere. And not only that, he had a bad drop. It was kind of later in the game. Jackson slung it to him over the middle, and yes, he got hit, but he, had the ball in his hands, and then it got knocked out. That's a drop. He's got to hang on to the ball. And I'm mostly making a big deal out of this because we just signed Andrews to a massive contract extension. It was like, what, 4 years, $56 million, like $14 million a year, crazy stuff. I don't think it's an overpay for now. I think he's a very good tight end. I think he deserves it. And I like Mark Andrews a lot. But he does need to start showing up in the big games. It's not just this game. I just went over several examples. He does need to start showing up in the big games for sure because, he's been our leading receiver for a long time now. He's got to start doing it against the really good teams and in the clutch when we really need him the most. So, this weekend, big game against Kansas City. We're going to need Andrews to show up. We're going to need our team to be on their A game. So we'll see what happens. I'm not going to talk about that one right now. I'm going to save that for game picks this weekend. But guys, that is going to do it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, maybe should have dropped a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. I'm going to be out here. Peace out. Have a great day. Thank you so much for watching. Go Ravens, man. I know it was a tough loss. I know, but it's the first game of the season. The only way to go here is up. So thank you guys so much for watching. You're all a bunch of homies, and I will see you guys this weekend. Have a great rest of the week.